and using their own name, image, and likeness, whether it's signing autographs, whether it's doing commercials or ads for some company or whatever. So there's nothing wrong with that. And I told our players when this whole thing started to get agents, get representation, and so you create opportunities for yourself. And our players last year created $3 million worth of opportunity for themselves by doing it the right way. And I have no problem with that, and nobody had a problem on our team with that because the guys that got the money earned it. Now, there were only 25 guys on our team that had the opportunity to earn money. The issue and the problem with name, image, and likeness is coaches trying to create an advantage for themselves. I went out and said, okay, how can we use this to our advantage? They created what's called a collective. All right, a collective is an outside marketing agency that's not tied to the university, that's funded by alumni from the university. And they give this collective millions of dollars.
Now about a guy that a lot of things you don't want to know. We built him up. Some people think they're God. Go dig into how God did his deal. You may find out about a guy that a lot of things you don't want to know. We built him up to be the czar of football. Go dig into his past, or anybody that's ever coached with him. You can find out anything you want to find out. Some people think they're God.
Hello everyone, welcome to this edition of Viral. I'm your host as always, Ken Dixie. Glad you can join us here on Viral to talk about Alabama head coach Nick Saban trying to go after Texas A&M's coach Jimbo and other coaches, excluding Deion Sanders, on how they do their way of business with the NIL program. First things first, join in the conversation using the hashtag Viral here on Connect. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe to this tier. Tell a friend, call a friend, hit that subscribe button so you won't miss a thing here on Viral. Talk about Alabama head coach Nick Saban held a press conference and he discussed why it was an unfair advantage for the NIL program to have students getting paid, and he made this whole theory of what he had said with this.
Working and using their own name, image, and likeness, whether it's signing autographs, whether it's doing commercials or ads for some company or whatever. So there's nothing wrong with that. And I told our players when this whole thing started to get agents, get representation, and so you create opportunities for yourself. And our players last year created $3 million worth of opportunity for themselves by doing it the right way. And I have no problem with that. And nobody had a problem on our team with that because the guys that got the money earned it. Now, there were only 25 guys on our team that had the opportunity to earn money. The issue and the problem with name, image, and likeness is coaches trying to create an advantage for themselves. I went out and said, okay, how can we use this to our advantage? They created what's called a collective. All right, a collective is an outside marketing agency that's not tied to the university, that's funded by alumni from the university. And they give this collective millions of dollars. And that marketing agency then funnels it to the players. All right, and the coach actually knows how much money's in the collective, so he knows how much he can promise every player. That's not what name, image, and likeness was supposed to be. That's what it's become, and that's the problem in college athletics right now. And now every player is saying, well, what am I going to get? Well, my philosophy is my job is to create a platform for our players to create value for themselves and their future by becoming better people, by graduating from school and developing a career off the field, and by seeing if they can develop a career on the field and play at the next level in the NFL. Our players have made $1.7 billion in the NFL since 2010. All right, so we've created a lot of opportunity. We also have one of the highest graduation rates, in college athletics. We have the most guys that graduate inside of 4 years. So we've done a good job of that. But now in recruiting, we have players in our state that grew up wanting to come to Alabama that they won't commit to us unless we say we're going to give them what somebody else is going to give them. And my theory on that is everything that we've done in college athletics has always been equal. Your scholarship is equal. They get equal Alston money. They get equal cost of attendance. They get equal academic support. They get equal medical attention. Everything has always been equal. So I told our players, I said, we're going to have a collective, but everybody's going to get the same amount of opportunity from that collective. Now, you can go earn however much you want. And I tell the recruits the same thing, because our job is not to buy you to come to school here. And I don't know how you manage your locker room, and I don't know if this is a sustainable model, because one of you folks are going to give some player that comes to our school a bunch of money to come to our school. And then you're going to come to the game in full strut, thinking, I'm going to tell everybody I got that guy to come to Alabama. And then he's not going to play, and he's going to transfer, and you're going to say, I'm never going to do this again. All right, so I don't know how it works. I don't know how you sustain a model like that. Now, I know that we're going to lose recruits because somebody else is going to be willing to pay them more. But name, image, and likeness is something that's here. And I think the more supporters that we have for the University of Alabama in all sports, that are willing to sponsor players, whatever you want to call it, use them in your business to help your business, that's going to help our programs. The thing that I fear is at some point in time, they're just going to say we're going to have to pay players. If we start paying players, we're going to have to eliminate sports. All right, and this is all bad for college sports. I mean, we probably have, 450 people on scholarship at Alabama, whether they're women's tennis players, women's softball players, golfers, baseball players, non-revenue sports that have for years and years and years been able to create a better life for themselves because they've been able to get scholarships and participate in college athletics. That's what college athletics is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be something where people come and make money. And you make a decision about where you go to school based on how much money you're going to make. You should make a decision based on where you have the best chance to develop as a person, as a student, and as a player, which is what we've always tried to major in. And we're going to continue to do that. And hopefully there's enough people out there that want to do it. But I know the consequence is going to be difficult for the people who are spending tons of money to get players. And you've read about them. You know who they are. I mean, we were second in recruiting last year. A&M was first. A&M bought every player on their team, made a deal for name, image, and likeness. All right, we didn't buy one player. All right, but I don't know if we're going to be able to sustain that in the future because more and more people are doing it. Yeah. So it's tough, and people blame the NCAA. But in defense of the NCAA, we are where we are, all right, because of the litigation that the NCAA gets, like the transfer portal.
As you saw right there, Alabama head coach Nick Saban had made theories about college students getting paid with this new program, believed that college students should not be paid. They should be getting books and tuition, which that's his own opinion, but everybody wants to get paid some way, somehow by college students. Well, we go to what Jimbo Fisher's response was when he heard that Nick Saban was saying a lot of stuff about him and the NL program, but he didn't mention Jimbo Fisher. He just mentioned Texas A&M program. Take a look.
To come out and say this, when he doesn't get his way, things don't go his way. Despicable that a reputable head coach can come out and say this, when he doesn't get his way, things don't go his way. The narcissist in him doesn't allow those things to happen. It's ridiculous when he's not on top. And the parroting company, what you've been talking about, go talk to coaches who coach them. You'll find out all the parroting. Go dig into wherever he's been. You can find out anything. And it's a shame that you got to sit here and defend 17-year-old kids and families and Texas A&M because we do things right. We're always going to do things right. But we're always going to be now about a guy that a lot of things you don't want to know. We build him up. Some people think they're God. Go dig into how God did his deal. You may find out about a guy that a lot of things you don't want to know. We built him up to be the czar of football. Go dig into his past, or anybody that's ever coached with him. You can find out anything you want to find out. Some people think they're God.
Jimbo Fisher with that response. Jimbo Fisher ain't playing. Jimbo Fisher said, hey, you can say anything, and he said, I bring up your past. And this just was a he say, miss. We saw Deion Sanders made a quote. Deion Sanders right here on this quote right here that he quoted about Nick Saban, and a lot going on with that. Now we know that Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban are no strangers to one another. They had they had worked together when Jimbo was under Nick Saban, and now same way with Deion Sanders with the insurance commercials. Now Nick Saban has put his own foot in his mouth on what he has said. Well, let's get the backstory on what's going on with this.
Yesterday, Jimbo Fisher declared war against Nick Saban. He flat out went to DEFCON 1 and said we're going nuclear. And we can talk about this in the parlance of laughter and jabs, but that's not what I heard from Jimbo Fisher. He looked at Nick Saban and said, "You're a fraud. You're a liar. You may be a cheat. Let's peel back the curtain. I never wanted to work for you again." And for the record, Saban offered him the offensive coordinator's position when he went to Alabama, and talked to other people who have worked for Nick Saban. And what makes that so remarkable, Ryan, is that Nick Saban is sacrosanct. He's the greatest coach of all time, and his reputation off the field equals that. I have never heard anyone lay a glove on Nick Saban, and I've talked to people who have written books on Saban. Yeah, maybe he's surly, maybe he berates coaches in private, but never anything like this in the public domain. This was simply one of the most extraordinary moments in recent college football history yesterday.
Class, they paid for that class, and then he also alleged that Jackson State University paid $1 million to get the top recruit in, and the payment that he's talking about is around the NIL deals, and he's saying that I guess he's implying that these schools through the NIL, they promised these students all of this money through different endorsements and everything, and that's how they sign. There's a lot of layers to this. Number one, I've been following Nick Saban for a long time. I've never heard him speak in this manner. He's almost speaking as if, listen, I got the receipts in my back pocket. I know what I'm talking about. So I do hope that he's right about this, because it could blow up, or it's already blowing up. Jimbo Fisher has responded today, and I'm pretty sure by the time y'all watch this, some more coaches will be responding. But he called Nick Saban a narcissist. He accused him of attacking kids. He defended his program, Texas A&M University, saying they didn't have to do this and that. Deion Sanders responded and said, listen, I don't even have $1 million from Jackson State. How would I get it for a kid? This and that. I think it's going to be one of these situations we're not going to put all the pieces together today, but it's going to come out. Keep in mind, these are gentlemen with a relationship in some form or fashion with Nick Saban. Jimbo Fisher was a former employee of Nick Saban as an assistant coach, as we all know. To my understanding, they had a good relationship. Apparently something that we don't know. And then Deion Sanders, we all know he and Saban team up for the insurance commercials for the past 2 seasons. So there's a lot of layers here. This is what I know about Nick Saban. Usually when he speaks to the media, he's usually speaking to another entity, or he's speaking to his players. Could he be trying to dog whistle to the NCAA like, hey, wink, wink, take a look over here? And he's just saying it because we know the NCAA has said they're about to retroactively look into some of these payments and everything. Is Nick Saban also talking to the Alabama boosters saying, hey, y'all need to step up, it's getting competitive, y'all need to come with some more deals? He said it was a good thing when the students did get the NIL deals. I don't know. It looks very wild to me. I've just never seen Coach in this mode. And to his credit, we must point this out. He never called the coaches by name. He did call the programs by name, but he never said the coach's name. I know that's little, that's subtle. So he could be talking about a gamut of people or boosters associated with the programs and not actually talking about the coaches. But he called the programs by name, and you got to expect Nick Saban's a lot smarter than I am, so he had to expect that they were going to react, and they are reacting. And lastly, Jimbo Fisher, in his rant, he said, hey, let's look into this man's past and we'll see. Start asking some assistance about him and this and that. This is going to be a never-ending saga for the foreseeable future. But what do you guys think? What do you think Nick Saban is trying to accomplish with his comments in Birmingham? And then what are these other coaches trying to prove, or what are they maybe trying to hide? I don't know. Let me know.
Nick Saban ain't wrong. He just talking too much. That is my reaction. Texas A&M went 8-4 last year. But had the number one recruiting class. The math ain't mathing.
That ain't mathing.
Why do I say that? Look at the previous 5 years of the teams that had the number one recruiting class. Look at their records. Alabama 13-0. You see Georgia 12-2. You see Bama 14-1. You see Georgia 13-2. What is the outlier? A&M 8-4. What changed, y'all? High school recruits did not all of a sudden say, you know what, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to an 8-4 program with a coach who's going on his 5th year. No, what changed? NIL. It's not that Jimbo Fisher changed what he was selling. As Nick Saban said, Jimbo Fisher just started buying. I'm not going to say Saban is overreacting because I think Saban understands the tide and it's not crimson. What do I mean? Saban, rock with me.
What's in that bag, boy?
Rock with me.
I'm with you.
Saban understands he just lost the national championship. To us, not a big deal. You were in the national championship.
Yeah.
Calm down, Saban. But Saban knows national championships are won based upon recruiting classes from years before.
Let's go.
Can we pull up that recruiting class full screen one more time, please? So, who won a national championship this year, big dog?
That's here, Georgia Dogs.
Who had the number one recruiting class 4 years ago? So
4 years ago?
bottom of that list. See Georgia.
I see the dogs. It's double the dogs.
Saban understands that if you want to win a championship, it's dependent upon your recruiting class. So what Saban is saying is, wait a second. If A&M has a number one recruiting class, all of a sudden they might end up winning a national championship or competing for one, and they not on our level. Get on my level. What? Nick Saban ain't wrong. He just talking too much. That is my reaction. Texas A&M went 8-4 last year. But had the number one recruiting class. The math ain't mathing.
That ain't mathing.
Why do I say that? Look at the previous 5 years of the teams that had the number one recruiting class. Look at their records. Alabama 13-0. You see Georgia 12-2. You see Bama 14-1. You see Georgia 13-2. What is the outlier? A&M 8-4. What changed, y'all? High school recruits did not all of a sudden say, you know what, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to an 8-4 program with a coach who's going on his 5th year. No, what changed? NIL. It's not that Jimbo Fisher changed what he was selling. As Nick Saban said, Jimbo Fisher just started buying. I'm not going to say Saban is overreacting because I think Saban understands the tide and it's not crimson. What do I mean?
Got a good backstory on what's going on, how it transpired between Coach Saban said what he said, leading to Jimbo Fisher saying, Coach Jimbo Fisher saying what he's saying, and Coach Deion Sanders saying what he was saying about Nick Saban. Because Nick Saban now has realized that we don't know what programs that now it's the evolution of college sports. College sports are getting paid by endorsements and by being paid by just the way they want to get paid by. Well, let's hear what you people had to say out there on this whole matter between Coach Saban, Jimbo Fisher, and Deion Sanders, and what the pundits and the experts are saying about it in college sports. Take a look. All right. You saw that college sports is in effect. A lot of them agreeing with Coach Saban, a lot of them not agreeing with Coach Saban. So it's a he say miss. But we have to wait and see what's going to happen. But only time we can tell, we're going to find out going forward. Thank you all for watching this edition of Viral. We talk about Coach Nick Saban trying to rip the NIL program to his own advantage. I've been your host, Kendrick Dick, saying so long. We thank you for watching.